TAQ Capital, technical analysis quickly.
This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Before taking any action based on the information provided on this channel, it is recommended that you seek the advice of a professional licensed financial advisor.
Let's do this.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I've got a Bitcoin update for you today, or I guess more accurately, the weekend shit show. So much sideways action, very boring, and so on. But regardless, it's a necessity. We have to get through the weekend. This is the 1 hour chart. From a wedge standpoint, you can see that we entered the orange one over here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've been, this breakout has basically been this sideways weekend ridiculousness. If we see exactly where we entered here, it was on the 30th at 6 p.m. And it's been pretty stagnant since then. I mean, when we peaked out here, if we jump down to a smaller time frame, this is the 5-minute, right here was the peak. When we came crashing down, I was expecting a retracement considerably higher than that. I mean, because if you look at the fib tool here, as we came crashing down here, our bounce back often, I would even say typically, goes over the 0.382 number, often to the 0.236. And after a bullish move like this, I would say more often than not, it even goes just slightly higher than that before it comes crashing down again. So as we came down, this bounce was pathetic. Then we went sideways, so this was a symmetrical wedge. And then, you know, we crashed again and entered this just sideways BS, and that's where we've been ever since. So where to now? This is back to the hourly chart. So now we're in this, I mean, we're way over here, but we entered this blue wedge, okay, which we can see is a sideways broadening wedge. I mean, we hit our 1, 2, 3, 4 right out the gate. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and now this is part of a swoop down, up and out, which is the exact same thing that's going on within this red wedge that we've been in since way back here. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then we're in this swoop down and out. So those two agree that we're going to be heading up here. Then we've got this symmetrical yellow wedge, which we had our first hit here. Then we came down, second hit, third hit. We just had our fourth hit, and now we should be going up and out. Now it might be a bounce up and out as we head towards the red. So those three agree. But as you know, symmetrical wedges mean you can break up or down. But because the red wedge and the blue wedge are both telling us that we need to be coming up, the odds that the yellow symmetrical wedge are going to break up are pretty good. Then we've got the orange wedge here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we broke down. So the orange wedge is done. And from the peak, we entered this purple wedge. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we should be breaking up out of the purple, up out of the green. Then we've got this teal wedge. The teal wedge began way back here. So we had our first hit, and then our second hit, third hit, fourth hit. And this was the breakout, but it got rejected. So I think we're actually doing one of these numbers. You could theoretically redraw this and then assume that we're going to be going down and bouncing off this line again before we go up. And is that possible? Yes, it is possible. I don't think that's the case. You could redraw the yellow wedge if that ended up being the point that got hit here. So then you would still have, the yellow would still hold true and you'd be breaking out. So it is possible. The purple wedge would just be redrawn down to that point. So I think that would work too. The green wedge would be redrawn down to that point. So we have our 1, 2, and then this would become 3 way down here. Then we would have 4 break up and out. So we could actually come down further if it ends up getting redrawn. But that's the thing with symmetrical wedges. If you keep redrawing them too much, they end up biting you in the butt. So I'm trying not to redraw them as much as I have been. So for now, I'm going to stick with this was our first attempt rejection, and now we're going to break out. And then if I zoom out further, we've got this purple wedge that started back here. 2, 3, 4, and now we're working our way back up to the other side of the purple to break out. This orange one is the one that we've been in since the peak of the market. The green one we made contact with back here as our number 4, and this whole thing has been a swoop to come back up and out. So that one is saying we're doing the same thing. And then if we zoom into the 5-minute chart, this white wedge that we're in is drawn off of the last hit on the green wedge. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're working our way up here to break out of the top of the white. But if you draw a pink wedge within the white wedge with the fib retracement tool, this is only on the 1 minute, you can see that we went 1, 2, 3, 4, and we just broke down. And to have an idea of where our target is, we use the retracement tool here. And you can pretty much always count on 0.382, though in these much smaller moves, as this is only the 1 minute chart, reliability on that fluctuates a little bit. So this could be bottom over here as we start to go back up again. But you often, like on the bigger time frames, when it's a little bit more reliable, you can pretty much count on the 0.236 range or just below that, because you're looking for a spot between the 0.382 and the 0. And this is a pretty good spot, but often it'll come a little bit below that too. And how this fib retracement tool works, you would then redraw the wedge like this down to here, and you would measure, as you've measured this out to the peak of the first run, this would become now the first run. Instead of this being the first run, this being the first retracement, then this being the second run, this being the second retracement, now all of this just becomes 1. So this was our first run, like that, and then we're retracing there, and now the next stop is up here at 19,405, which has us broken out of the white wedge and out of the green wedge. At which point we'll be in this symmetrical wedge territory, because this is that teal symmetrical wedge that I've decided to not redraw because I don't think I should. So then we should be breaking up out of that as well. And if I jump to a higher time frame like the 2 hour, you can see the Kijun and the Tenkin here are creating this big space, and that is going to be to pull these candles up into. So it does support the narrative that we have an upward move coming here, because as we break out of the white and the purple and the green, then if we come up out of the teal to where the Kijun is, assuming it stays there, that's going to bring us around to the 19,550, 19,600 mark. And then if we continue to go up from there, we break out of the yellow symmetrical wedge, and then we hit the red symmetrical wedge. So by the time we complete this move, we could be looking at, 20,700, 20,800 on the purple, or as you can see here, this blue wedge that I showed you as a sideways broadening wedge. How these work is we had our 4th hit here, and now this is just a swoop. So that could be the next time we get, majorly rejected, or sorry, the last time on the wedges that I have drawn that we will get a major rejection. And then we could come back down to riding this wedge that we've been in since the peak of the market, down a little further. So, I'd look for targets up in this area based off of this move. So 20,400, I guess, if you want to be conservative. Anyway, that's it for me today, guys. I've got family in town, so I'm going to get back to that. I appreciate you watching. If you found the video helpful, like, share, and subscribe would be great, as that helps the channel. And these videos get in front of more people like yourself. I hope everyone's having a great weekend, and good luck trading. And of course, don't forget to use a stop loss. I'll catch you guys in the next video.